Hey, I'm ChristopherJMUA and welcome back to my channel. Unless you've never been here, of course, then welcome. I'm so glad you've stopped by. Because today, we're reviewing the Tati Beauty Blendiful. And I'm so excited to be reviewing this! This is like the thing that so many people say they didn't think they needed. And I'm really curious to see if that's what I think too. Now you may be asking yourself, why do I have two packages in my hand? Because I'm greedy and I needed two of them. I'm just kidding. One's for you guys. So we are actually gonna be having a giveaway in this video for a Blendiful from Tati Beauty. The way to enter is super simple. Make sure that you like this video, make sure that you're subscribed to my channel, leave me a comment down below, and find the secret word in this video, and leave it commented in the video link in the description. Don't leave a secret word in the comments down below. If you do, it will be flagged and blocked, and you will not be eligible for the giveaway, because then you're just telling everybody else and you're taking all the fun out of the giveaway. So let's keep the fun in the giveaway, and good luck to everyone, and I hope you win. If I had enough for everybody, I would give one to everybody. But for the one that I am gonna use, I'm really excited to use it, and we're gonna actually be comparing it to the traditional beauty blender. So we're gonna be using the Blendiful on one side of the face with my full routine, and the beauty blender on the other side. We're gonna go head to head, neck to neck, sponge to Blendiful, and see which one truly is the best tool for your makeup application. So if you want to know which one actually is the best tool and what works best for my routine, and to see if this Blendiful thing is really what so many people are saying it is, then stay exactly where you are, keep doing exactly what you're doing, and keep on watching. Okay guys, first and foremost, before I actually open the Blendiful, I'm gonna let you know a little bit of information about it. Now from Tati Beauty's website, this is $18 and it comes with two sponges, one full size, one mini. Sorry, this isn't a sponge, I don't really know what to call it. It comes with two Blendifuls, one full size and one mini. The overview on Tati's website says, the Blendiful is the makeup applicator you didn't know you needed. This game-changing, soft textured fabric tool is a blending dream that's designed to seamlessly apply and soften both liquid and powder products. The rounded edge and pointed tip help to provide a perfect blend step to step in your makeup application. Buff in foundation with little product waste, experience seamless contour, smoother concealer, and the most airbrushed powder application, even in those hard to reach areas of the face. Save product, save time, and become the expert artist of your own unique routine. However you choose to use the Blendiful, your look will be one with no harsh lines every time. XO's Tati. To clean these, it says machine wash and dry in a delicate laundry bag or gently hand wash in warm soapy water. Rinse thoroughly and blot dry. Do not bleach, do not dry clean. Got it, no bleaching. And there are actually step-by-step instructions on the website for how to use your primer, foundation, concealer, contour, powder, and highlight. And it says that you can go over with highlight on top of the powder, and it says you can use a cream or powder highlight. Don't know how that's gonna go yet. We'll figure it out when we get there, but I'm gonna do the exact same steps with the beauty blender on the left side of my face and the Blendiful on my right. Now, first of all, I wanna show you what it came in. It came in just this envelope. Both of them came in just this envelope. That is amazing for saving on waste and environmental waste. This is really great. Granted, there's not some like pretty little package that I get to put on display and save forever and ever, but this saved some part of our environment in some way, and it was much less wasteful. So that's very appreciated. And that's probably helpful in keeping the cost down for the product cost itself. So that's also appreciated. Then you already saw the packet, I guess you would call it, for the Blendifuls, I should say. And on the front of it, it just says a Blendiful and Tati Beauty on the top, one Blendiful and one baby Blendiful. And then on the back, it shows Blendiful again. It shows the cleaning instructions, exactly what it says on the website. And it also says 100% polyester polyurethane. And it says no harsh lines, XO's Tati. And it shows Tati Beauty, cruelty-free, vegan, distributed by Tati Beauty LLC, made in China, and the address. I don't know why I read everything else and then said the address at the end. Well, that's what it says. Now, let's open it. Now that we have it open, we have a baby Blendiful. That is so soft. Wow. Oh, it's like my blanket in the living room. It's just like a fuzzy blanket. That's what it feels like. It's just a fuzzy blanket. Oh, it's so soft. I just want to snuggle with it. And then the big one. It's a guitar pick. That's what it looks like, a guitar pick. Well, that's cute. I do love that it has the little hand-holdy thingy. It's weird, this one's not as soft as the little baby one. I mean, it's still soft, but it's not as soft. It almost seems like the fibers on the small one are more densely packed, but they do look the same. You know, to put this in perspective, the type of cloth or like blanket that it's reminding me of, any blanket that you can run your finger over and the texture looks like it changes, it feels just like that, those fuzzy blankets. I wonder if I go take my fuzzy blanket and cut it up into little squares and put it on like a powder puff, if I could make one of these myself. I'll get back at you with that. Anyway, I think I'm gonna put the little baby one to the side and use that later because I do want to follow the exact instructions on the website. So, what we're gonna do is start with primer. Now the first step on the website is primer. Banish the appearance of pores and fine lines by using a pressing motion with a blurring primer. The blurring primer I'm going to use is the Winky Lux Whipped Cream Primer. This is my favorite blurring primer, hands down. So what I'm gonna do is just take some out with my fingernail like I do all the time. This is probably way too much, but I'm the king of way too much. I'm just gonna put it on the Blendiful, and on her little picture she is using the pointy side, and she says just to use a pressing motion. I think I should use a little bit of a dragging motion, not just pressing, because just pressing, it's sticking a lot to the Blendiful. Maybe I should combine sticking with rolling. Oh no. Okay, this is not working very well with this one. What I usually do is use my nail, which is very flat, and I press this into my skin and then move it outward and then kind of rub it around like skincare. I mean, I can see this kind of putting it into my pores, but it's also sort of lifting it out. It is kind of working, just not very well. Ugh. And I feel like I'm making a mess. Oh yeah, I've dropped a lot. Okay, well obviously with this specific primer, this is not the best tool for me to use. Maybe this primer is a little too dry for the Blendiful, perhaps? Because I'm not really making any progress here. Not with the Blendiful anyway. Alright, so for me personally, for the Winky Lux Whipped Cream Primer, the Blendiful did not work quite as well as I thought it would. But regardless, we still need to put the Beauty Blender to the test because we have to compare and see if it's going to work at applying this. I've never tried to apply this specific primer with anything but my fingers, so I don't even know if anything other than my fingers will work with this primer. But again, I'm taking some off of my nail onto the Beauty Blender, and I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna start to press it in and see what happens. This doesn't work at all either. All this is really doing is pushing the primer into the Beauty Blender. So the Beauty Blender is taking all my pore fills. Yeah, it's just making the Beauty Blender smooth. Okay, obviously this primer just does not work with tools like that. It's just a finger primer, you know? It's not made to. So perhaps something a little more viscous would work with this, maybe like the Smashbox pore filling primer, or perhaps NYX pore filler, or I think Tati used that on her release video for the Blendiful, which I'll actually leave that linked down below as well so that you can see that video if you haven't, kind of compare what products she uses versus what products I use. I would imagine maybe the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer might work as well, or Benefit Professional might work. Actually, that's a little drier as well, kind of like the Winky Lux primer is. I don't know, you might have to experiment. I just know this is my favorite primer and this is what I'm gonna use. This is the one that I found that works best for me. It doesn't dry me out, it gets my pores filled, my face looks beautiful after I do. I also think it's really important that I stick to products that I know and I recognize how they work on my skin and within my routine. So I'm sticking to products that I do use with my normal routine so that I can pinpoint if something does go wrong with the Blendiful or the Beauty Blender. So right now, we're neck and neck. Nil Blendiful, nil Beauty Blender. And that is 1 point to the good old phalanges. Now let's move on to foundation. On Tati's website, it says foundation. On Tati's website, it says step 2, foundation. Easily glide on foundation with a sweeping or buffing motion to achieve a flawless and airbrushed look. And it looks like this time she's using the wide end of the Blendiful and she's kind of bending it a little bit. I'm assuming that's how she's getting her buffing motion, so we can glide or buff. I'm going to be using my Smashbox Studio Skin 24-Hour Foundation along with my LA Girl Blue Pro Color Color Corrector Foundation Mixing Pigment, because this is a little bit too yellow for me and the other one that's close to this is a little too red for me, and I'd rather pick a little too yellow and mix in blue. Now I've just mixed up this foundation on the back of a palette, so I'm gonna take the Blendiful here and just dip it right onto the palette, and I guess let's just start to buff and see what happens. This feels so weird. The only part that's really weird is figuring out how to hold it. I'm just so used to a beauty blender, you know, or a sponge in general. This is just a little different, but that's okay. Different's not always bad. Just gotta figure out what the heck I'm doing. So she said you could glide on foundation too. I don't think with this foundation that's the greatest idea. It seems like gliding is kind of taking foundation off of the surface of my skin, but leaving it in any kind of crevices. Now usually for me, even with a sponge, I do always have to go in with a brush around my beard, because it seems like no tool that I use can apply foundation under beard hair, which makes sense. I mean, anything that you press against your face isn't gonna get underneath hairs. So I'm probably still gonna have to go in with a brush over my beard. I'm gonna try with the Blendiful just to see what might happen, but I doubt that it's gonna be effective. Now so far, I am liking the way that this is laying down foundation. It looks good. It's not looking cakey, and that's what I was sort of afraid of, because I don't feel like this is gonna pick up a whole lot of excess product. But it's also not laying it down too much either. So it is working quite nicely. I obviously didn't add enough blue pigment to this foundation because I'm still sort of yellow, but that's okay. It'll even out once we add some concealer on. I do feel like I almost have a little more control of the foundation using the Blendiful, because I can build it up a little bit easier, and since it's not taking so much product away from me, I'm not having to guess at how much product I'm gonna need, because I can take it little by little and just build it up to the correct amount. I'm not used to something that doesn't soak up so much of my excess product. So I feel like this is actually gonna save me money in the long run, because I'm using so little of my foundation now, which is weird for me. I usually squeeze out a ton of foundation. Something I'm noticing, and this probably won't matter to a lot of people, but I actually can use this to get through my beard hair, which, like I was saying earlier, I normally have to use a brush, but because of, I guess, the little fibers on here, and because I have the ability to drag this instead of just patting like with a beauty blender, because I'm always so afraid I'll rip into a beauty blender if I drag it, this is actually capable of moving in my beard hair and filling and covering the skin underneath the hair or around the hair. So I do like this better because of that. I also like this more because of the fact that the blend between my foundation and my skin looks a lot more seamless, and it doesn't look like foundation as much. Obviously this color on me, especially with me being red, looks very, very yellowy orange, but just wait. Just calm down, it'll be fine in the end. We'll be okay, I promise. But so far, so good. The only thing that I can really complain about right now is I would definitely wash this before you use it the first time, because I'm getting little linty pieces all over me, and that's obviously coming from this. So just disclaimer, wash yours. If you win the giveaway, wash yours before you use it, or at least rinse it off or something. So now I'm gonna go in with the Beauty Blender on the left side of my face and finish off the rest of the foundation. Okay, another thing that I like about the Blendiful versus the Beauty Blender is that the Blendiful filled my pores better with the foundation than the Beauty Blender. So I guess maybe because it's not so porous, it's pushing more than it's pulling, when the Beauty Blender is actually doing both, I would imagine, kind of equally. So that's kind of nice. I will say though, it was a lot faster for me to blend out my foundation with the Beauty Blender. However, I've been doing that for a lot longer, so I'm used to it. That could be the reason why. Another big perk is that whenever I just finished using the Beauty Blender, my fingers were foundation-y. Using the Blendiful, my fingers were not foundation-y because they stayed clean since they were on the other side of the Blendiful. So for foundation, I think the Blendiful won. I'm happier with the Blendiful side. Speaking of, now I need to take the Blendiful side and go over my beard on the Beauty Blender side, since I couldn't cover that with the Beauty Blender. Now, step 3 is concealer. And on the website, it says, step 3 concealer, use the pointed tip to easily lay down a smooth and even amount of concealer where precision is needed. So I'm gonna go in with the Juvia's Place concealer, and I'm just going to start with the Blendiful side. Now I am using my concealer not only to conceal my under eyes, but also to highlight, because that's how I use my concealer. Like I said, I'm sticking to my normal routine. Since it's not a foundation review, I can do that. And now, the pointed side. This is gonna get my fingers dirty, because if I'm bending it, which I think I'm going to need to, then my fingers will get dirty. But they would with a sponge too, so that it really doesn't matter. I'm kind of worried with me already having my eye makeup done because I don't know if I can get this to a sharp point. Maybe if I bend it all the way, that might work. Oh yeah, okay. Ooh, it's kind of nice. But can I get it to my lash line? Wow. Okay, see what I'm really liking about this right now is that even though the point isn't quite sharp enough to fit right exactly in that center, I can pull and get the Blendiful pushed right into that spot without having to worry about making an imprint because I'm not soaking up too much product. So I can actually just get in there and lay down the product instead of just soaking it all up. Wow, that's nice. I like that. See if I can get right here without messing up this wing. Yes, I didn't even touch the wing. Oh, wow, this is so great. Okay, I'm really liking this for concealer. That looks so weird. Definitely gonna have to blend that out a little better, but I can at least see how it's working. I don't think I could ever work with this in pulling motions. I feel like I'm always gonna be a dabber, except for in my beard. Okay, that's done. You know, I really feel like the Blendiful did a really good job of blending out the concealer. I actually really liked that. That was a very enjoyable experience. Now the Beauty Blender side. I really don't need any more concealer on my nose because the Blendiful kept so much product that it really went on both sides and it kind of took over, so I'm okay over there. I'm honestly probably okay everywhere. It's probably too much concealer, but who cares? There's no such thing, right? Okay, concealer is completely blended out. I feel like both sides actually look really good, but I do prefer the Blendiful for right immediately under the eye because I feel like I had a lot more control right in that inner corner and this general area. And I had more control on my nose as well. I could choose where I wanted the straight line to be, and it's a lot more difficult with the Beauty Blender in my opinion anyway, because I can't make those hard edges with the Beauty Blender because it's not quite as sharp whenever you bend it. But all in all, both had an acceptable result. I just prefer the Blendiful side. So one more point for Blendiful. Now, step 4 is contour. Folding in half around your finger, use a striping motion to pick up and lay down your contour to the angles of your face, then softly buff out edges. So let's see. She's holding it upside down, so like this. She says folding in half around your finger. So I guess she's actually using the same part that she used concealer for her contour. That worries me a tad, but that's what she's doing. So we're gonna do it too. She's definitely using a cream contour, so I too am going to use a cream contour. I'm gonna go in with my Huda Beauty Tantour Contour and Bronzer Cream in the shade Fair. I'm just gonna, I guess, dip the Blendiful directly into the pot. Oh, wow, that was way too much. That picked up a lot of product very quickly. I thought since it was covered in concealer that it was gonna be very troublesome to get out of the pan, but it's not at all. Okay. I feel like I should be moving upward. She said striping motions. I don't know what a striping motion is. Let's see. Okay. Got it. Okay, let's see if that blends. See, I feel like I'm running into a little bit of a problem here. As I'm blending the Tantour out, I'm removing the Tantour and getting to the concealer that's underneath it, and it's turning my Tantour into a lighter shade. And of course, whenever I'm blending on the outside and it starts turning into a lighter shade and the inside is more of a darker shade, that's the opposite of what I want to go for. But now it's kind of evening out. It looks like, wow, that's a really soft blend. That looks really pretty actually. Wow. What? Plus the other side is still covered in foundation, so if I did go overboard, I could always just take the foundation side and clean it up there too. Now I do feel like that concealer caused a little bit of a problem, definitely. I feel like it kind of muddied up the contour a little bit, but I feel like the worst case scenario is that you just go in with some more contour just to deepen the areas that might have lightened, which is what I'm gonna do once I finish everything else. That does look really, really beautiful though. Okay, so now I'm gonna take a little bit more, but I'm just gonna use it right on the outer edge and try to just deepen that up just the tiniest little bit, because I don't really want to have to take the darkness out any further because I'm plenty dark toward the front of my face. I just want to deepen up that outer edge since it got a little muddy. Yeah, that's working very, very nicely, because the longer you blend, the longer you keep adding product to the Blendiful, it seems like the more you're getting rid of the previous product, which makes sense, which means that you can build it up on the outer areas easier and easier just as you go. That's so cool. Now, nose contour. Let's see if this can happen. Gonna use just the tippy tip, if that's possible. Oh, I'm so scared. Don't fail me now. Don't fail me now, Blendiful. Not during this step. Okay, that maybe was a little more intense than I anticipated. Oh man, let's hope that blends out. We'll find out soon enough, won't we? I used way too much. There is literally no redeeming this at this point. I've just got to roll with it and fix it somehow. But it's cream though, so it's a little more forgiving. Oops. I contoured my forehead. Did not mean to do that, at least where I did it at. I did it like right here. Go back in with that foundation side and see if maybe we can get rid of that. Ooh, we can! Can I do that over here too? I can. Yay, okay. Oh, good. Yes. Thank you, foundation side. Now, maybe I can lightly, yeah, okay, cool. I can lightly add it back in. Whew. I'm so sorry if you can hear like that clickety clacketing. Rain is falling outside. Okay, so that was the Blendiful contour side. It looks beautiful. I'm very satisfied with it. But now let's try it with the Beauty Blender. I've actually never applied cream contour with a Beauty Blender. I usually go in with like a brush and then I'll blend it out with a Beauty Blender. So this is gonna be interesting. Never done it before. Taking it right into the pot, just like I did with the Blendiful, and I'm gonna apply it just like I did with the Blendiful. Oh, the only downside is I'm not getting a clean edge on the bottom half, which I would have preferred. But that's okay. I can make the clean edge with the powder in the end and kind of clean that up, so I'll be fine. I almost feel like the Beauty Blender is maybe picking up too much product after it lays it down. I don't really know exactly what it's doing that I don't like. Okay, one thing I'm really not liking about the Beauty Blender side is that I can't build it up like I could with the Blendiful side. I can't go into it and add more because the moment I tap it down, it adds more right then. But as soon as I try to blend it out at all, it just picks it all back up. It doesn't blend it, like it doesn't move it around for me, it just takes it up again. And that's not what I need. I want to deepen it a little bit just along the outside, but it looks like that's not going to be an option for me. So that's fine. That's fine, I guess. And I'm having to go around with the butt end of the Beauty Blender when I didn't have to do that with, but I'm realizing now that I didn't have to go in and blend extra. And with the Beauty Blender, I just feel like I'm having to finesse a little bit more is essentially all I'm saying. Okay, now let's try this nose contour with the Beauty Blender. well, I actually did have a lot more control with the Beauty Blender that time, just using this tiny little point. Oh no. It's getting so big again. Why do I do this to myself? Obviously, contouring with cream products with a Blendiful and a Beauty Blender is not my forte because my nose looks crooked now. And my nose isn't crooked. It's big, but it's not crooked. So at this point, whenever it comes to the contouring, I need to quit while I'm behind. Worst case, I'll be able to go in with the powder and reverse contour and maybe straighten out my nose in some way because right now it is not straight. So speaking of powder, step 5 is powder. Dip into your favorite powder and use a patting motion to lay down product for an airbrushed, locked in finish. Okay, great. I'm cool with that. I'm gonna go into my iHeart Revolution Coconut Setting Powder. This is a loose powder, and we're not gonna use this powder puff. Oh no. Just gonna take some and pop it out into the cap. Now, according to Tati and her beautiful Blendiful blending instructions, it shows that she's using, again, the pointed side of the Blendiful, and it looks like she's just taking the Blendiful right into the powder and just applying it everywhere that it needs to go. And she says to use a patting motion. However, it's been quite a long time since I put on this concealer, and I have since gone in with contour on the concealer spot of that sponge. So I'm going to very lightly and gently use the fat end, I don't know what to call it, the big end of the Blendiful, and just tap out this concealer just so I can get rid of any creasing. Oh no, I'm supposed to use the Beauty Blender on that side, I forgot. Okay, that worked and it didn't transfer anything, so that's good. And with it bent, that fits right in there still. That's no problem at all to get that to go there. That's nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna take the pointy end and dip it right into my powder. And we are sticking to patting motions. Pat, 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 pat. Now, I don't see anything on the website that says it's okay to brush away your powder with the Blendiful, so I'm not gonna chance that. I'm just gonna take a fluffy powder brush and brush away any excess powder. Before I judge this, I'm gonna let the powder sit for a little bit because I almost feel like it did something to the texture of my skin. And I don't know for sure if that's the powder, the Blendiful, the fact that it's a lot of powder that was applied and it hasn't just dissipated or heated up yet. So I'm just gonna leave it alone for a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side with the Beauty Blender and go into the powder as well and set everything with that. Okay, now powder is applied with the Beauty Blender side as well. Now this time, when it comes to the powder application, I'm gonna hand that one to the Beauty Blender. I think the Beauty Blender won on that. Now for the contour side, I don't know if I said it or not, but for the contour step, I think the Blendiful had it again. So far Blendiful is definitely ahead. I think my problem with the Blendiful on the powder is that using the powder with the Blendiful being wet is not the prime way to use the Blendiful, I don't think. I feel like I should have used powder with the little baby Blendiful, the mini one, instead, because it was a clean one and didn't have any product on it yet or any cream product on it yet, and I think I would have had a much better experience with using that instead. But then again, the Beauty Blender was completely wet and had all those cream products on it, and I think that's just something to do with the way that the Beauty Blender soaks in versus the way that the Blendiful does not. So for me, Beauty Blender won on powder, but still, Blendiful still winning on everything else. So now I'm gonna brush this powder off and we're gonna move on to the next step. Okay, powder is now brushed off and I have set my face with my Skin & Co. Truffle Therapy Illuminating Skin Refresh Mist. I wanted something a little less dehydrating since everything I've been putting on my face is kind of dehydrating. And I think it was just the drink of water that my skin needed because I look pretty good now. And that powder set very nicely, except for right here. I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe the powder gummed up in the end of the Blendiful in that little seam right there and it kind of made a line in the powder. I don't really know exactly what happened. I just know it doesn't look the greatest in that one little spot, but everywhere else it looks fine. It's just right there. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and move on to step number 6. This is the final step and it is highlight. Now this one says, take an angled side, dab on cream or powder highlight to the places you want to glow. Since she's saying to dab on a cream highlight after you just finish setting your face with powder, I'm gonna do it because I challenged that. I don't believe that that's gonna be a thing that's gonna happen, but we're gonna do that. So it says take an angled side. She's actually using the teeny tiny baby one now, but she just says take an angled side. I could just use somewhere where there is no product, which is right here or right here. In the middle of the Blendiful, there's nothing there yet because I haven't used that. I'm actually gonna use one of my favorite cream highlighters. This is the Colourpop Light Sticks in the shade Star Bright. Super glowy, super intense. I love it. And I'm gonna put it directly onto the Blendiful, just on the side of it right here. It does not wanna come off onto the Blendiful. I guess I'll just use what's on there and see what happens. You can kind of see it on the side. Yeah, you can see that. Down here is the highlighter. You can, here is the highlighter. You can kind of see it glowing over there. But let's see. Oh, I'm nervous. Why am I nervous? Okay. I'm trying to get just that part of the Blendiful on my skin, nothing else. Do we see anything? Oh, there is a little glow. Okay. Wow, I didn't think that was gonna work at all, but it is working. It's not like as blinding as it would be on fresh skin, but duh, it's not going on fresh skin, you know? Okay, let's build that up some more. I really like that. I want a lot. Oh, that's so pretty. I love this highlighter so much. Wow, that was a lot very quickly. Okay, let's move to the other side. It actually builds up really, really nicely. And it's cool because you don't have to blend it in as you apply it because it is blending in as you apply it since it's already on the tool that you're using. Oh no, I used it on both sides. I wasn't supposed to do that. No, bummer. Man, what am I gonna do now? I already did both sides. I don't know what to do. Here, let me see. I'm gonna use the foundation side and I'm gonna try and cover it up. I mean, there's a little bit of a glow there still. You can kind of see it, but let's pretend, okay? We know that it works with the Blendiful, for sure. Okay, we do. But I'm gonna go in with the Beauty Blender and I'm gonna use the little blank side that has nothing else on it. Oh, I don't think this is gonna work at all. Maybe now it will. That took a lot of product to apply that. Whew, let's see. Am I still super shiny? Maybe I'm not super, no. It's just glowy. It looks more natural. But let's see if we make it blinding now. I guess I'm gonna squeeze it this way because I put it on sideways like that. Hey! Okay, it works with both tools. Ow. Not quite as blinding with the Beauty Blender, I don't think. It's still glowy. Like it still gives a highlight, but I don't think it's quite as impactful. Which does make sense because the Beauty Blender is soaking more product up. Wow, that powder is still very much so sitting there. Why didn't you guys tell me the powder wasn't blended out? You're supposed to be my friends. Okay, it's gone. Thank you. So yeah, if you want more of a soaked into the skin natural type highlight, then use the Wet-n Beauty blender. But if you want a poppin' highlight, use the Blendiful, because it's poppin', like Mary poppin'. Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with more highlight, and I need to apply everywhere else. Now I do need to apply it directly down my nose. I'm not gonna use my sponge for that because I already know that's gonna be a disaster. I'm going to try to use the Blendiful again, but just bend it as tightly as I can. Maybe I should, no, I'm gonna use the side, the very side, like right there. And I'm gonna see if I can get this to fit right down the bridge of my nose without making it too big. Well, it did get kinda too big, for sure. Yeah, it's too big. Okay, well I don't really know how you would do that for sure. I guess you might have to take it on the point, maybe, and apply it that way. Or, this time, just use your pinky. The cool thing about this is, since the highlighter did get a little bit too broad on my nose, I can just go back in with the foundation side of the Blendiful again and just take it right down that edge and blend it out. And boom, I fixed it. No, I didn't. I made it worse. I don't know why, but I did. Don't even know how that happened. But you know what? That's fine. My mom told me I was beautiful, so that's all the reassurance I needed. So highlight is done, except for my Cupid's bow. Can't believe I forgot. Oh yeah, that worked beautifully on the Cupid's bow. Looks like I have a milk mustache. So I'm gonna say, for me personally, for what I like in highlight, I do like the blinding highlight a little more than the natural glowy highlight. Well, depending on the look. For this, I wanted it to be extra glowy. So I'm gonna say the Blendiful won this one. So that means the Blendiful won pretty much all of the steps of the routine, but the Beauty Blender really kind of kept up with it just about the whole time anyway. So what I need to do is go ahead and finish off the rest of my makeup, and I'm gonna do that off camera, and once I come back, I'm gonna give my final thoughts on the Tati Beauty Blendiful. Okay everybody, my eyes and my full face are completely done now, so I'm ready to give my final judgment against the battle of the Beauty Blender and the Blendiful. And I think the winner is the Blendiful, because the Beauty Blender couldn't cut it for as many rounds as the Blendiful could. So again, the only things that I didn't think this worked for the greatest were the powder after everything was applied, once it had pretty much cream product all soaked on it, and the primer, which I use the Winky Lux Whipped Cream Primer, and it's not your typical pore filling primer when it comes to the fact of it being viscous and more liquidy. It is very whipped. It's drier and whipped. That is what that primer is. And those are really the only two specific instances that I didn't prefer the Blendiful. I mean, the Beauty Blender failed on the primer as well, so I can't really blame it. It did have a one-up on the contour on the nose because I could manipulate a straight line better with the little point than I could the edge of the Blendiful. But all in all, I'm gonna give it to the Blendiful because I think the Blendiful won. I do think that this is a tool that I'm going to be consistently using, mainly for the fact that I can keep my hands clean while I'm doing my full face of makeup, and I can use this for almost everything that I do. I am curious to see how and if I can use a powder contour or a powder or bronzer and see how it might stack up with it. I probably can't unless it's like a loose powder of some sort, but I am gonna toy with it a little more after this just to see if I can, and just kind of how it works with the ins and outs of different steps during a routine. Either way, I absolutely loved it, and I hope you guys did too. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you like it, if you don't like it, if you think it would be a waste of money, if you're interested to try it. Just give me your opinion. Also, don't forget about the giveaway. By now, you probably found the secret word. If you didn't, it's back there somewhere. You'll find it, I have faith. Don't forget, you have to be subscribed to the channel, you have to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and enter that secret word into the link in the description box as well. Then you are set up for your entry into the giveaway for your very own Blendiful. And until next time, if you like this look and you want to see more looks like them, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. My username is the same for everything. It's just ChristopherJMUA. And if you gain nothing out of this video, video. If you gain nothing out of any of my videos, please at least gain this, and that is to always remember and never forget that you are absolutely beautiful. And I love you guys. Bye.